Hi, my name's Sebastian. I'm doing a speech on incarceration in the United States. Adults in the United States make up 0.721%, nearly 1% of the entire population that are currently incarcerated in the U.S. African Americans are incarcerated at 6 times the rate of white people, while African Americans and Hispanics make up 58% of all prisoners, even though they only make up 1/4 of the United States population, which is pretty shocking. As for female inmates, there are around 113,462 in the United States, making up 0.04% of adult women currently incarcerated. By the way, there are about 318,857,531 people living in the United States, just to give you an idea. There are several justifications for punishment that incarceration meet, but the main forms of these justifications can be categorized as violent crimes, poverty crimes, the theft of property of others, and victimless crimes like drug use, prostitution, and gambling. Race is also an important component of this discussion of mass incarceration because many of those who are incarcerated are African Americans and Hispanics. Both race and ethnicity are strongly related to increasing crime rates because of the labels on a particular race's social standing, which increases the probability of these individuals to engage in criminal activity in the long run. Children that are raised in communities with little parental supervision play a huge role in determining the likelihood of that child engaging one day in criminal activity. 72.5% of black children are born to single mothers, which leads to less supervision and a greater risk of living in poverty. White privilege plays a big role here, where 1 out of 3 black children are raised in poor communities, while 1 out of 8 white children are born into poor communities. This conflict subculture encourages poor kids to join gangs and that consist of young men who engage in violence and rebel against their parents or teachers to gain respect among their peers. The behavior reflected by these individuals can be labeled as gangster or thug, and these attitudes reflect a poorer look, in style with sagged pants, backwards hats, and other attributions related to a poorer lifestyle and this hip hop culture, kind of what it elicits. In this culture, it's considered cool to get rich from dealing drugs and committing crimes because of poor childhoods where crime is the easiest way to achieve financial success without having to go to school. For example, the phrase by rap musicians, "started from the bottom, now we're here," that's not exactly the same thing. He could have worked hard by, studying, but the big picture that, and a lot of rappers say similar things that are like this, like, I came from nothing because I sold drugs and now I'm here, and now I came from nothing and now I'm rich because I sold drugs, and I'm cool because of that, and they follow that trend. And this expresses the common attitude among these gangsters and poor young men to start from nothing and one day have everything, encouraging this criminal activity to occur. In addition to being born into a rich family, white privilege factors in here again because of racial profiling. Since the majority of these people selling drugs and committing crimes are African Americans and Hispanics, they're much more likely to be profiled as criminals. Research has long indicated that street crime is more widespread among people of lower social position. Crime, especially violent crime, is a serious problem in the poorest inner city communities. Also, in these really poor inner city communities, like the same repeated offenders keep being the ones that are committing the crimes. Like, it's the same offenders almost every. It's common for the same offenders to be the ones committing the crimes. Social status can also attach labels on people. For example, a man at a gas station wandering around asking for change could be labeled as poor, therefore leading others to believe that just because he's poor, he's more likely to become a criminal. An example of the opposite of this would be a rich business executive who, would rarely be labeled as somebody who is likely to be a criminal because of his nice clothes and his nice appearance and apparent intelligence as well. The police are aware of these labels that people attach to others, resulting in more incarcerations among poor people. Also, many poor people living in the midst of wealth see society as unfair or unjust and therefore more likely to commit crimes. Even though I do feel that incarceration is effective and should be our go-to form of punishment, more or less, our incarceration rate is way higher to comparable countries, and I think that's a signal that something is really wrong here. There's two things to look at here. There's either our society punishes people more severely for crimes that would be considered as normal in other countries, or the United States is creating a far higher level of serious crime, and these more and more dangerous criminals are being born, and there needs to be a severe, strict law and repercussions for these actions. I think incarceration is the go-to form of punishment because as a society, we have to maintain public order through the threat of punishment, or else, you really have to have a consequence for somebody's actions, and then you have to draw the line. Incarceration, although effective, has positive and negative consequences, however. For example, when a mother's son or daughter goes to jail for either a short or long period of time, it serves as a devastating blow to the family's morale. Let's say a young man who is on the high school baseball team and engaging in criminal activity on a daily basis without his parents knowing, all this time, meanwhile, he's been a good student and an excellent baseball player, therefore his parents don't suspect anything and have, high standards, and they set goals and have visions for their son and are looking forward to his success in the future. And then one day he gets arrested for selling narcotics and receives a severe felony charge. All of a sudden, his parents' dreams of his son, following in their footsteps, being a successful person are crushed, and the entire family suffers due to the fact that their son is going to be incarcerated, and along with the money that they've been spending on him their whole life and giving him things, and now they have to spend thousands of dollars on legal fees and bond fees, and it's horrible. It's a horrible blow to morale of a family. This negatively affects and weakens family formation, labor force attachments, and social interaction among residents. The positive effect, however, of incarceration is pretty simple. It leads to reductions in crime in affected communities. Thank you.